I just stopped that recording, so it'd be its own little thing. Sorry, what was that question?
Oh, so you have to do a yarn start to get it to start running on the browser. But when you're done working, I was just wondering, is there like a stop, something that you have to put in, or do you just kind of close everything down?
Oh yeah. Let me add that to the message too. So I'm going to add a couple things to the Slack. So I'm going to add the git add dot and git commit. Because it is definitely like with a React project, it's a good habit. You definitely like right when you create the project, just to like commit it, do the init commit and just push it up to GitHub. I think that's going to be just a good habit to get into.
Question: do you want us to do push up most of our projects or mostly homework?
Just your homeworks. Your projects. Wait, they're the same thing, right?
Well, okay, I meant like demos and like reviews. Do you want us to push those or just kind of leave them in our files just for like if we want to look back on them?
That's up to you. I would say push it. But I mean, we're not going to look at it, but I think it's going to show up on your Git history. And then to go back to the last question, it's Control-C to stop your terminal.
Oh, okay.
So those steps, I mean, that took, I once you get those steps done, that's like, couple minutes to create a React project, push it up to, create the GitHub and start it. So just to do that, just to kind of show you, I'm going to do this again, kind of the same thing. I open up my terminal, go to where I want to create the project, yarn create react-app, proj here or whatever, give it a name. You don't have to like do this while it's running, but just to kind of show you, you can do this you can kind of do this fast. New repository, proj here. It's creating. I can open code. I can add the remote. Oh wait, I opened up week 1. CD into proj here. Add the remote. Do we get add dot git commit -m init push origin master and yarn start. And I think that took like a minute. And you're going to do this a whole bunch, so I think this is going to become like end of next week. I think you're going to have this pretty well down. But any questions with that? Go back to the. Okay. Cool. Well, let's get started. Let's first I think what I want to do is let's go ahead and just look at the message app, like the message homework that you were working on yesterday. So I kind of want to look at like maybe 1 or 2 different ways, or like 2 ways to, how you might solve it, or a couple different ways. So first of all, yeah, I'm going to open up my React app. I'm also going to go ahead and just, do like a little split screen. So not to be going back and forth between VS Code and Chrome. All right. So let's go to, localhost 3000. I don't think I have, so, if I see this, if I don't see anything there, it's probably because I don't have my server running. So yarn start, that starts up. That's essentially what it's doing, is it's building all of these JavaScript files, converting it to the HTML and then appending it to our browser. All right, here's a little VS Code thing I want you just to memorize and to do. So as we start working with bigger files, especially once we get into Rails, it can sometimes be hard to find a file because there's so many folders and we're like trying to look for a specific file. Like I know I want to go to app.js. So something I can do is I can do a command. So I need to be in VS Code. So click on like VS Code. So that's your active app. Do a command P and then search for app dot, and it's like already popping up. And then I can just, if it's highlighted on it, I can just hit enter. And that takes me to the file. So this can be a quicker way to navigate to your files. I always forget how to close this. Where's Michael? Does anyone know how to do the command to close this?
Just click the file button, top left.
Okay. There's a command. I always forget it. Okay. So yeah, so this way I don't need my file explorer now. I can just like search for files by the command P. There's my index.js. Oh, I want to go back to my app. Just search for it. Cool. All right, except I do, let's go ahead and create a file. So let's do a new file, and I'm going to call this message like basic.js. So I think one of the first thing you should do when writing a React component is just write a very simple component and get it rendering. And what I mean by that is we're going to come in, write our component. So it's just a function that's going to return some JSX. So return, I just like to do like a div and then like a header. And then like say the name of the component in the header. Export default message basic. So here's my function. And then I'm going to export default this function. And then, because what I want to do is I want to see, can I get this component rendering in my like app.js? So then I go to my app.js. So let's just go ahead and close this. Command P app.js, enter. I can delete all of this stuff because I don't need it. I'm actually also going to delete this class name. So there's no style, like no default styling. So let me show you another trick. This works, like if I'm exporting default, this should work I'm going to just start typing out and you can see it right there. It's already popping up. Message basic. See how it's like popping up this thing already in VS Code? I can hit tab, like once that's like, if that's highlighted, I hit tab and boom, it auto imports it. And I just need to close that tag. This should be your first step to any of these components. Is make sure you can get this component to render in your like whatever file you're using. In like this case, it'd be our app.js. So with someone was having an issue with the import export. Is it you, Sharia?
Yeah, for some reason, when I reloaded the yarn start, it did pull it up, and I was trying to figure out for like 2 hours, and I don't know how it just fixed itself. I don't know what I did, but it's working now.
Did you change a name of a file?
No, I just restarted the React app. I did yarn start because maybe it wasn't linking to the, I don't know. That's the
Honestly,
only thing
I don't
did.
that sometimes when you change a name of a file, that can you probably want to restart your server because that can make, but if I don't know, if you just restarted your server, that's like not magically going to probably make it work with the import export change anything. So
Yeah,
you might have been like running your yarn in a different folder, or maybe you didn't save something. But
okay, so your yarn has to work with that, or it has to be connected to the main app, the whole thing.
the yarn, when I run yarn start, I need to be running it in the project I'm working on.
Okay.
Like if I CD back and like CD into, like yesterday we did React demo and run yarn start. And I'm making changes to this project that is React review. Like this is running that project from yesterday. It's not running this project.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's something.
You might have been, so you'd be making changes here. I'd be making like some changes and be like, well, why isn't that showing up? Because it's running a different project.
Okay, yeah, maybe that was stupid. I knew it was something stupid, but thank you.
So if you're going in between projects, like you were just in one and then you did yarn start to the other one, do you have, if you're going to go back to the previous one, you have to do yarn start again?
Yeah. I would say for now, probably try to avoid working on multiple projects, but I mean, just to like, so let's do this just to demo. So I could CD back. Yeah, let's CD into React demo. So if I do yarn start on my React review, that's going to be running. That's my React review one. That's the one we're just doing right now. If I do, so I'll keep that server running. If I do a yarn start here, it's going to give me this like, you know, kind of message saying, hey, something's already running on port 3000. Would I like to use another port instead? So I can hit yes, or I could hit no and stop my server, but let's hit yes. Now this other project is going to be running on localhost 3001. So localhost 3000, localhost 3001. So I can have multiple React projects running. They're going to be running on different ports.
If you had clicked no, would it have just closed the previous one and opened the one you just did though?
I mean, this one, these are, yeah, it's not going to open. If I say yarn start and I click no, it's going to like cancel the command. It doesn't really do anything. This one's still, this server's still running on, like, it's kind of doing its own thing in this thing. So that was good. That was a good little tangent there. So you can run multiple projects. Just know they're going to be running on different ports. And yeah, always make sure when you run yarn start, you're running it in the project, in the directory that you're like working on. Cool. So sweet. So we got this first part done. And really, I think as you're starting off, this should be the first step when you're writing a new component. Just get it working. Cool.
I did the message thing and now it's not linking to the counter, or yeah, to what you just did. It's still not linking. It worked for the other stuff and now it's a new file. Is it because it's a new file?
Let's have you share your screen.
Okay. So I have this guy. So my message board, I did the export default message basic.
Cool.
And then I went to my app and I import the message basic. And from here, and then I did the message basic and I don't get the message.
You don't see it. So go to your counter.js or like, yeah, see where it says like hello bang. Like just make a change in this file. I want to see if this is what you're actually seeing in your browser. So like line 13, just change
Okay.
hello to something else. Like,
oh, okay.
just add something. Bang. There you go. Now save it. Now that's not saying bang on your project. So hit refresh localhost 3000. Like that should be refreshing.
Oh.
Why are you not?
So I didn't. So I didn't refresh it. So you just have to refresh this. Because now I'm getting the message basic, but I got.
Well, it's a little weird. So when you save something, it should be. So what should happen is it should be doing like with the yarn create react app, it should be doing live reloading. So if you go make a change to your app.js and save it, make a change.
I don't know, like
just click me, just erase. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Pressure. Yeah, see, you save it and there it is. It's changing it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
There you go.
Don't know why I had to refresh it then.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, make sure like, you have it working. See if you are writing the right file. If you have to, you shouldn't have to, but sometimes, yes, hit the refresh button on your browser. See if that gets it going. Yeah, because it should reload. It should like automatically refresh, but it doesn't all the time.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sweet. Cool. So let's yeah, let's just go through this. I'm kind of thinking of just like just a straightforward approach to solve this. Not trying to be like fancy. I'm just, trying to think about how to solve this. And maybe this is how you did this yesterday, is like, I'm going to come here. I'm just going to try to get one button working. It might be, I think it would be bad to like come in here and like do your whole alphabet off the bat. Maybe I'm just going to do 2 buttons like A and B.
You're not sharing your screen, James.
Oh, thank you. It's going to do small starts. Like if I can get A working, then maybe B working, then I can worry about the rest of the alphabet. So something I could do next is maybe just figure out how I could handle the event of this button getting clicked. So I could do like handle a clicked. Console.log a clicked. Then on here, I could do a on click equals handle a clicked. I inspect, go to my console, A's clicked. So cool. And then, you know, I could like copy and paste this, do this with B clicked. And kind of like take that logic that I did and like, you know, do it for B. Since I figured out how to do it for A, it's probably not going to be that hard to do it for B. Cool. So now I have those 2 event handlers working. And yeah, I could, and now it'd be easy to like, it just might be a little tedious, but I could go down, use that same logic and set up all my buttons. But like I've kind of figured out that step. Now I kind of want to figure out, you know, how do I actually, you know, when these are clicked, append that to like a message and start creating this message. And that's when I should be thinking of the word like, oh, that's going to be state. I'm going to have like some like message state. So I need to import useState, that useState hook from React. And then here, I can do my const and get this set up. So I'm going to come up like what I want to call this variable. I think like message is a good name because that's what it is. And then I'm going to give the name to the function, which I'll call set message. That's going to be equal to my useState function. And, you know, this can take like an initial state. So maybe I have that set as like init or like a string, or it could just probably have that be like a empty string. But maybe I want like some value there just so I can see it as I'm testing this. So now what I can do is I can now, with JSX, I can now, you know, grab this variable and kind of do it. It's not exactly interpolation, but it's kind of like what we did. I can like interpolate this value and there it is. I might want to do like a HR or something just to create some space, or maybe I'll put that in a paragraph. So I can put this like nested inside a paragraph. Remember, and this is a review of like just JSX. So with JSX, you know, that is something that React gives us. And JSX allows us to like write this. It's kind of like a mixture of HTML and JavaScript. You know, because this very much looks like HTML. It's not, it's JSX. But within here, we can, you know, use JavaScript. We can like, I can do like math inside of here. That's just going to be 2. I can access variables. I can pass functions. So it's a really like nice core feature of React.
Question. So to define useState, you have to do that at the very top, because I just finished typing the useState, that code, and then I'd put it at the top, right? That's where the import useState comes from.
Yeah.
And then you have to type the from React too.
Yep.
All right.
So what's going on here? Just let me show you. So when we created this project, we downloaded a lot of dependencies. It's part of the reason it kind of takes so long for the Yarn Create React app to start. I can look at my package JSON and I can see some of these dependencies I have. One of them is React. So that's what, when in this, when I import from React and I don't give it a relative path, like this one does not have a relative or absolute path, where it's actually going to look for this, and you don't ever change your node modules file, but this React actually lives in our node modules. I mean, this is all the stuff in your node modules file. It's quite a bit, but in here, there should be a React project somewhere. There it is, React index.js. And like, here's kind of like the, like, it's a different kind of style, but like there's like the default export of the React. So that's where I'm importing it from.
So I noticed whenever I yarn start on my right side, it put me through Safari. How can I switch that to Google Chrome?
I think you just need to make Google Chrome your default browser. And I don't know how to do that, but you can Google how to make Chrome your default browser. I think that should do it.
So I'm gonna have to just exit out and yarn start again.
Yeah, or you can just take that URL, localhost 3000,
And put it in Google.
and put it in Chrome. If you don't want to do that right now, that's an easy way. You can just pop that
Okay, that's what I'll do.
into Chrome. Cool. So once again, I'm kind of just going through like these small, like getting stuff working and testing. I can't like stress that enough as you're like developing. Just do small steps, test it, and see if it's working. Cool. So I have like this use state hook where I'm setting this message variable. I'm setting it to an like some random value just because like I want to see it there, and it's there. It's working. Like my next step would be, well, now when I click A and B, maybe I want to, this is where I want to like add, you know, append the letter to the message. So here I'm going to call this set message, because this is the way I can update that state. So if A is clicked, I just want to take my message and, you know, concatenate the string A to it. Likewise, if B is clicked, I'm going to concatenate the message with string B. A, B, A, B, A, B. Cool. So I have that working. So maybe I don't need this like initial init here anymore. That probably doesn't make sense. I just want that to be, you know, an empty string, and then I can start typing A, B, A, B, A, B. And now that I have this much done, yeah, I could go through and try to do like all the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But, you know, this is going to be like, that's going to be a lot of functions for like, that's going to be, you know, 26 functions. Did anyone come up with a way? Because there's definitely a way to do this just with one function. Did anyone kind of?
I
actually
started
was-
it.
Yeah, I was trying to do that. The TA even came in and helped me, but even with him walking me through the code, we couldn't get it to work. So I just ended up giving up on that and doing my long code.
Cool. Well, let's. I think there's, because we're gonna go one step a little more generic, and then we'll do even another step. So let's just do a little more. Let's just look at the function part of this. So when I'm going through and I'm like copying, pasting these things, and I'm like, you know, changing things, what's the only thing that's really changing for all of these functions? It's
You're just really changing B click to C click.
Yeah. It's
and then the
just-
C in parentheses.
yeah, because I really, I don't
Or-
honestly even need that message, but yeah, the only thing I'm changing is the character, right?
Yeah.
So a much better way to do this is, and this, what I really want this handle click to do is just append the thing that was clicked to the message, right?
Yeah.
Like not, this could be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, this could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a variable, it could vary. So what I could do here is, okay, let's get rid of all these functions and let's just call this handle letter or like handle clicked. That's good enough. And instead of just hard coding A, I'm now going to define this with a parameter that I'm just going to call char for character. And now I can say, instead of A clicked, I could go ahead and say, you know, char clicked. And when I set the message, I'm not going to plus equal A or plus A. I'm just going to plus the char or the character that was passed to this function. And now I can pass this handle click to all of these functions.
Okay. So now, if I understand this correctly, it's your consistent handle click is just calling back on the button. So that's when it calls back on the button, when you click the button, it's going into your const handle clicked and reading what to do there. Is that correct?
I mean, yeah, I'm just saying, hey, when you click this button, call this function, and this function
Right.
is just going to append that character and then
Right.
also log it. So when I click it now,
It says object.
yeah, I mean, that's a little weird. Object.
So how would we fix that? Where is it broken? It's not.
Well, you tell me, because now I'm,
So
how's this handle click magically going to know that this is A, that this is B, that this is C?
right.
What do I
You
need
have
to?
to- You have to return set message.
I don't need to return it because this was working without returning.
Do you need to create an array?
No.
No.
What about like a button ID?
So here, okay, this is like a function. Just think about JavaScript functions. Think about what this function is doing. Like I'm just going to be like, I am the handle click function. You give me a character and I'm going to log that character like was clicked to the console, and I'm going to set the message to the message plus the character you gave me. So that's me as like the handle click function.
Right.
So what are we missing here when we?
Oh, you're not passing it a parameter down there.
Yeah, I'm not passing it the parameter. I need to say, hey, here's, okay, hey, handle click. When A is clicked, I need to tell you that A's been clicked.
Okay, so we still need the 26 different buttons listed there for A, B, C, A through Z, but now we only have the one consistent to handle all those.
Yeah. So now we have,
Okay.
yeah, we're going to need all the buttons. There's no way around that. You know, that's going to be magic if you can, you know.
Okay, I think that was the part of the issue before the TA was giving me yesterday, is we created an array and we were trying to pull from
Yeah,
that
we're
array
gonna
or
get to that
something.
though. So
Yeah.
so just kind of forget what just kind of follow along with this, because
Okay.
we're going to, I know what Michael was trying to do,
Oh, okay.
but we're going to get there for sure.
It was
Um,
just a little farther than we were.
yeah, it's kind of just the next step.
Okay.
So yeah, now if I refresh this, click A, I'm still getting that object. But what I need to do here is, I'm actually surprised this is not getting, oh, I didn't save it. I was like, this should be an infinite loop. Okay, cool. Now we're getting an infinite loop. Because beforehand, I wasn't calling the function, I was passing it, but now I have to pass it a parameter. Like now I have to like call it, right? Because I have to pass it a parameter. So now this function's getting called. Well, remember that little trick yesterday where it's like, oh, I just like wrap this in a function that returns that function call. So for all of these, I'm going to wrap them in an arrow function to get rid of that infinite loop. And so now when I click A, B, C, there we go. So I have this one function handling all of these buttons. And then, yeah, I could just go through and, go ahead and do this. So that's definitely a, another step cleaner, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question. For some reason, like when my set message is popping up as an error code.
Let me just slack this out as is. It's probably just a little syntax issue there.
All right, I'm gonna try to copy and paste.
And yeah, honestly, as far as the homework yesterday, I think this is like, this would have been the solution. Because we didn't have that much time with React yesterday. But yeah, we'll talk because yeah, now we're kind of getting to the point like, once again, we're kind of copy and pasting code, right?
Yeah.
I kind of just want to go through the alphabet and do this same thing where once again, the only thing that's changing for each of these elements is just the letter, right?
Yeah.
So what, and okay, let me show you this. Let me kind of show you the like one thing. Let's say I have a I'm just gonna inside of here do curly brackets so I can write some JavaScript, and I'm gonna do an array of JSX. Cool. So let me put this. Okay, so if I give my JSX an array of JSX, React knows how to like render that array. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just pulling that JavaScript array you just made and putting it just on your page.
Yeah, so it
Explain
knows how
that
to,
one more time, please.
it like React knows how, like if you give it an array of JSX elements, it's just going to like take that array and plop it into the DOM. It's giving us a warning. It's saying each child in a list should have a unique key prop. It does want, if we do this, it does want an ID that's unique, meaning I don't duplicate this key. So if I wanted to get rid of that warning, I would give it a key. Clear that console, refresh, just to make sure that warning's still not there. See, that warning's now gone. So I'm just giving it an array of elements. And I could show you this another way. We could like say const render alphabet equals a function. Let alphabet equal, like for now, let's just do like let's do a half version of the alphabet or short ABC. So let's say I have an array with it's just the characters of an alphabet. I want to go from an array of strings to an array of JSX elements that look like this. This is like kind of like a brain teaser. So how would I do that? What method that you learned about on Wednesday does that?
Say that one more time.
What method takes an array of data and converts it to another array of data, like another type of data? Kind of
Is it?
changes it.
Oh, never mind.
What methods should be coming to your, I mean, it doesn't have to be the right one, but what methods am I kind of talking about?
Would it be map?
Yeah, map is the one I would use. Because map takes, this, it takes this array, and then we can change it into kind of an array of the same things, but they look differently. So we can like transform this array. If I wanted to remove like one of these strings, what would I use?
Split? Or no, never mind that.
I mean, splits, you could technically do it with split, but that's, it's one of those special ones like the map,
Is it
reduce.
pop?
It's one of those specific methods. So pop just removes the last item. What if I wanted to remove, an item based off remove or filter items with a given condition? Like
That'd be
maybe
the reduce.
I could do it with reduce for sure. That's kind of like your safe answer. You can always do it with reduce. But there's actually like a more clear method that does this. It's like say I want to go through this alphabet array and remove all the things that are not strings. Filter. I'd use filter. So those are like the map and filter with React. Those are the ones we're going to see the most, especially map. Because usually map, I want to take my data as I have it and convert it to like an array of data and can convert it to like an array of JSX. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to take this alphabet and I'm going to map over it. So I'm going to go through each character and return this right here. Now I don't want to like hard code one. I'm actually just going to use the character as a key because those should be unique. And then I'm going to put the character right here. So I'm going through each of my characters or each of my alphabet strings, A, B, C, and I'm going to return them as an individual paragraph tag with a key and with whatever I want inside of there, which is the character. So now inside of here, I can call that render alphabet function. And I'm going to comment out this so we don't see that other alphabet. Not working. You're going to see this time and time after again. Let me ask you this question. What does this render alphabet function return right now?
Nothing.
Yes, good. It's returning nothing. It's returning undefined because I don't have a return statement in here in this render alphabet function. I do have a return statement in this nested anonymous function right there. But right now my render alphabet is not returning anything. What I want to return, let's set it to a variable just so we can log it. console, just so I can show you that it's actually there. We're actually generating it. See, there's my array of JSX, and you know, it's going to look a little different than just, you know, a paragraph char tag because React's doing some stuff with it, but it is there. Those are my 3 elements. I actually need to return. I need to make sure I return that. Cool. There's my alphabet. Sweet. So just to keep on going, well, I don't want this to be a paragraph. I want it to be one of these things. I want this to be, you know, a button with that on click. So instead of this returning a, I'm going to switch that back to the character. I'm going to switch this back to the character. And then so I don't get this warning just for React. React wants the key prop. I'll also set that to the character because that will be unique. And now I can get rid of all my buttons. There we go. A, B, C, B, C, A. And I can get rid of this. That was just for demo, just to clean this up.
All right. Let me make sure I have this correct. The constant render alphabet has a function in it that's changing your alphabet string.
The constant render alphabet does not have a function in it. Well, it does not have a function in it.
I thought that's what the arrow thing was.
Yeah, the render, no, the render alphabet does not have a function in it. The alphabet.map is past a function. That's very different than the render. I mean, the render alphabet, like the alpha.map is a function, but I don't. Are you talking about this function that is?
I'm just trying to understand what's happening and where it's calling it from so I can understand functions better. I watched you go through the whole thing, yeah, but now I'm trying to just solidify in my brain what's calling what and what's working with what.
Yeah, the functions thing. So this function render alphabet, this is what this function does. See, and this
Yes.
is like this function just renders the alphabet. To understand what this function does, you need to, like, it's going line by line. Here I'm creating a alphabet variable that, you know, is storing an array of these 3 characters.
Right.
Here on line 11 through 13, I'm mapping over that array. And for each of those elements, I'm going to return a button that has the, you know, character as the key. I pass it that on click, where I can pass that handle click the character, and then I'm also going to display the character.
Okay, where is character originating from? How does it know what? So your map,
yeah, that's the map. That's
and you just named it character.
Yeah. So really,
Okay.
I can't, like, understanding those functions, like especially map and filter. You like spend some time this weekend. If map and like filter and for each are unclear, really
So-
spend some time on those.
So with how you have this, I'm not saying to do it, but you can change CHAR to whatever you want, and it's going to know to pull from that same spot. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not a specific thing we have to use. That's just what you gave it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only specific thing here is like
Is the map
is the map.
and the little
And I guess like the
con.
button and key
Yeah.
and on click. But yeah.
Okay.
Can you scroll to the right of line 12 so I can see the end of it?
I can throw that on a new line. Can I make that a little bigger? Cool. So yeah, I could come through, I could like manually hard code the alphabet. I don't think that's actually a bad idea. But let's try to even break this down further. I really don't like this because we can write a function that gets the alphabet for us. I really don't think it would be that bad, and it's not going to really save that much time to actually hard code it. But let's do some like programming stuff and write a function that, you know, gets the alphabet. And maybe just for demo purposes, just to get a little more practice with like imports and exports, let's just write this in a different file. I could totally write this function right here. I could write a get alphabet function in here, but let's say maybe I want to reuse this function in other places in my app. So let's come in here in our source folder and just create a new file and call this like helpers.js, because maybe I have like some helper functions that I want to use throughout my app in different files. And this function, I'll call it const get alphabet. Now this method, I'm just going to say, you know, should return an array of characters. What I mean by that, I guess I'll call it, there's not really character type in JavaScript, array of strings, A, B, and then all the way to
Z.
Yeah. Cool. Times it. I'm going to select this out. Let's take a break. Let's do like a 20-minute break. So we'll come back at 11:05. So take a 10-minute break. But I want you to spend 10 minutes on this, trying to figure this out. Now, let me give you some hints. And I definitely want you to be using Google for this. Like, I don't really expect you to do this on your own. So I think you could definitely Google like how to do this. That's fine. And then you could kind of look at the solutions, because I guarantee there's many Stack Overflows that show you how to do this. But yeah, as you go through it, try to like understand when you do find the solution, try to understand what they're doing. And I'm going to show you one thing also, that if you don't want to try to do it without JavaScript, I'm going to give you this little method. So there's a string object that we get in JavaScript. Like, this is just going to be defined. And there's a method on that from char code. And if I do, I can't remember where it starts at, 32. Oh, ooh, that's a lucky guess. 32 is a space. If you want to use a space, that is a space. If I want to do like I'm trying to find I think it's 65. Yeah. Oh, that's uppercase. If I go back 164. 92. Sorry, I'm trying to find lowercase a. It's all alphabetical. So 65 is A, 87 is W. What about 90? Oh, where is 96? 120? Okay, there we go. 120 is an X. It's gonna be like, what's 120 minus 26? Should be like 98. Okay, 97. There it is. 97. That is an A. Space. And then if I go all the way up to what's 97 plus 26? My brain's not working today. 120, 121, 22. There you go. That's Z. So this is a way you can convert a number to a character, is you can use this string from char code because they all have these numbered, like these character codes associated with them. And these are going to, so 97 is A, 98 is going to be B. So with this, try not to maybe use Stack Overflow now that you have this hint. So I'm giving you away with numbers, or JavaScript is giving you away with numbers to get a character. And it's starting at 97 going up to 122. That's A through Z. So that's how, and I'll give you another 10. Let's come back at 11:10. Yeah, take a little break. And then yeah, take about 10 minutes and see where you can get with that.
Sounds good.
If you're struggling creating an array, see if you can like type out a message with this. Be something like this. You have to like add all of these together. That's a little more, that's a little more simple. Cool.
Could I see your real quick your app.js file? I just need to fix something on mine.
Yeah. And I also, let me just, I'm going to push this up to GitHub too. And I'll Slack out the repo.
Are you going to stay during the break?
Yeah, I'll stick around for just a second if you got questions.
So can you go back to whenever you're finished?
I'm good. I'll look at the what he's putting on GitHub. Thanks.
Let me just throw that out in Slack. So is this,
Okay.
oh, yeah, okay, this is the repo. So I'll throw this in Slack. Cool. Yeah, go for it.
So if you go back to your message basics, the first question that I'm having is, so it's going to say return button, and then that obviously has the ABC button. How is it getting that ABC to get inside of that button?
How's it, you mean how's the A getting in there, the B, the getting?
Yeah, because we deleted all the buttons and then what, put messages inside of it, or put message in brackets inside of it at the bottom?
Yeah, so well, right here, I'm calling this render alphabet function. I probably should call this like render keyboard. I think that's actually a better name. Render keyboard, because that's what that's doing.
So change it to,
I mean, it's more like, it's not going to affect how the code works. It's just one of those, I think it's
like a mental note.
It's a more readable name. But, and once again, this really, I think the key part of this function is really understanding what map is doing. Because I showed you earlier, if I give React and then an array of JSX, mean, I can even throw like a style in here, like color red.
And that's just CSS right there.
That's it's technically an inline style, but yeah, it's kind of it's like CSS. It's called an inline style because I'm inline the HTML. I'm styling inline, but what I'm showing, like I can give React. This is just an array of JSX elements, and React knows how to take that array and render it to the DOM. So that's that. So in my render keyboard function, I have an array of strings. And what I want to do is I want to take that array of strings and convert it to an array of JSX. So how do I do that? I use the map function because the map function is going to go through each thing where I have access, and it's going to go through each thing and perform a function on each thing.
By each thing, you mean A, B, and C?
Yeah, each thing in the array. In this case, that's A, B, C.
So let JSX is telling, it's bringing back let ABC, it's listing it as buttons, and then it's mapping it basically.
No. It's kind of reverse. So what happens. So once again, this is really understanding what map does. Map goes through each thing in an array. It performs a function on each thing in a array. And what it starts to do is it starts to push that return value on this new array that it's creating. So if like I'm the map function, what I do is like I create an empty array, and then I go through each thing. I go through each of my things, and then I perform the function that the programmer gave me. So the programmer gave me this function. So I go, okay, and what it returns, I pop into that new array. So the first time through, I'm like, okay, let's pop that first value into this array. Well, the first thing is A. So wherever that char is, I'm going to replace it with A, the string A. And then I go through the next thing and run that function that they gave me. And then that next thing that they gave me was B. And they return this button again. So I just push that to my array that I'm creating as the map function. And then once I've gone through all of the things in the array as the map function, then I return that array. And I'm just assigning that array to this variable called JSX.
So once the array is changed, it basically turns into JSX.
The array is not changed. I'm being like very technical here, very like picky on the words we're using. This alphabet function, this alpha array is not changed. The map function, I'm just going through each of these things and and pushing the return value of that map function onto a new array.
Can you start from the top where you have constant message, set message, and just explain what each line is doing again? Because I'm having trouble with functions. The functions is the hardest part to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is, so I would say, okay, for this, this is the useState function. If this is confusing, spend some time reading up on useState, because it's kind of like, it's a little broad to say like I'm struggling with functions.
So to my understanding, I could be wrong. useState is just keeping track of how many times you're clicking the A, B, and C, correct?
No.
See, I'm very confused.
Yeah, so this weekend, read it, because I think, you can look at these things like as you're going through this code and you're working through confusion. It's like the best thing you can do is like really go line by line. So right here, you're confused on this part. That's fine. That's what you're going to want to do for that is read up on use state. Because this is more like this part right here, this is more like a React thing. This is definitely, React has a lot of JavaScript involved, but use state, this is a function that React defines. And there's a lot of things that, it kind of does. But use state is a function where I can give it an initial value, and use state returns me these two things in the form of an array that I can destructure off in an array, but we don't have to worry about that. It returns me this state thing, this state data. This data can be any type of data. Right now, I'm setting it as an empty string because I need to be able to keep track of, where did my message go?
So why set it empty? What is keeping it empty doing?
Well, this is a message app, right? If you're starting to type out a message, what should be the initial state of your message?
Empty.
Yeah, empty string. So that's why that is.
Okay, I'm starting to understand that part. Now, if we break it down to the next one, the constant handle click. Now that's where it's keeping track of how many times you're clicking it and giving you that return value in the console log, right?
The handle click is when a button's pressed. This is the function that's going to be called when one of my buttons is pressed. And what this function does, and I'm just going to get rid of this log because we don't even need that. It's really not functional. Is what the handle click does is it gives me it takes the character that was pressed
A, B, or C,
and concatenates it to my message. And then it sets the message. So this is where you need to understand like the use state hook. Because
so whenever the handle is clicked, it's basically putting it in those parentheses right there next to the use state of what you clicked.
The parentheses of
the quotations of you have the use state on line 6 and it's empty right now. Whenever you click, say A, B, or C, it'll technically push that A, B, or C into that use state.
Now see that it put into the message.
Okay.
So set message, and this is how set state works. Actually, I kind of want to wait until we get back to kind of go over this because I kind of want everyone to.
Yeah, what would really help me right now is now if you just break down what each section is doing, because now then I'll kind of be able to start putting it together and bringing it together as a core.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, you need to read up on use state because I can already tell you're a little cloudy on that. And that's fine because, and I'm going to go over it when we get back because it's going to be a little hard to understand, go line by line with this if we don't
understand use state.
Yeah.
So now the next thing that I can really research over the weekend, what obviously you said mapping and.
Yeah, mapping this use state hook. And I would say for you, like, because, just, you going line by line and trying to like figure out, because I know when I'm learning to code and I'm like maybe a little unclear, like what is this doing? I just like go in and I like type something in there and see what it does to the code. Well, it's like, oh, if I give this a value, it seems to like change that initial state of message.
Okay.
But and then like if you're like struggling with the map or something, take it outside of the context of like the React app and
go back to homework 2 for say and start reviewing that again.
Yeah, homework 2, or like just open up like a I think it's always good to have like a, let me see here, sorry. Like just somewhere maybe, and just can maybe be in your project, like a sandbox .js or something, where you like can come in here and you can just like, experiment a little, like, okay, because I think something that I think will help, like definitely everyone beginning is just to like, kind of like, okay, I have this map going on, this React stuff. Just outside, like, let me just go write a map function and see if I can just understand what a map function is doing.
So if I'm not mistaken, don't console log it yet. It's looking through the array, and then it's calling for the number to no, well, with the arrays, I know it starts at 0. So
But here's my point. If you don't know, I'm sorry, this is not going to work. I actually need to like let num speak. I need to store this into a variable. But so if this is, if kind of this is a little hard, like to understand what's going on with this simple, like this broken down example, then this is going to be a lot harder to understand, because it's like now I'm using the map within the context of a React app. So as you're going through these homework assignments or stuff like this, I think it's good, yeah, to have that like little, like the sandbox or the playground, just to be like, so what exactly is a map doing? Like just try to get that working.
So what would that console log return? What would X equal then? For your example right now.
So you tell me, map goes through each thing in the array, and then we pass it a function. And then what that function returns, it starts to push into that new array. And then once it's done, it returns that new array.
Are you timesing it by 2, or what is that doing right there?
Yeah, this is timesing by 2.
Yeah, okay, I understand that, and it's gonna return that times 2. Is it adding all of those together inside the array?
No, it's timesing by 2.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but what is it getting out of that array? That's what I'm confused at right now. I understand the times by 2, and then it's gonna console log and times the answer by 2.
First of all, let's do this. If I console log, what is this going to log?
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, it should just log 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes. So that's what, yeah. So we're going through each thing and we're going to log it. So let's do, but that's not how we want to use a map. Map is really what that function returns. I'm going to put into, well, let's just go one step. Sorry. Let's go back 2, 3, return d times, or let's do a console.log. Sorry, I screwed this up. So I'm just going back to the way it was. Okay, console.log d. So that's going to go through, and we can just run this just to see it, so we know it's actually working. Yeah, so there's our 2, 3, 4. So
that's clear to me. I understand that.
What is it going to log if I do this?
Would it times the number, each number? So would it be would it pop out 4, 6, 8?
Yeah, so that's
okay. That's understandable.
Cool. So but map, what map really does is I need this function right here, this inner function, because that stuff that's highlighted, that's a function. I need that to return a value, because what's map is going to do is that function I give you, and it's going to take that return value of this function and put it into a new array. It's going to start pushing each value into a new array. And then when it's done mapping, it's going to return that new array. So I'm just going to switch this to a return. So now instead of logging d times 2, I'm returning d
Now,
times.
what's the difference between logging and returning? Or it's technically the same?
No, definitely not the same. Returning is console.log just logs to the console. It's just a function. Returning is like what functions do. Functions can return a value.
So every function has to have a return?
They don't have to, but if a function has a return, then that's, I mean, let's just function times 2 takes a number num
Times 2.
times 2. Let x equal times 2.
So now anytime you click X, it's gonna times 2, and then when you do it, it'd be 2
click
times
X.
4 equals 8.
Yeah, well, let's just look at this example. Console.log x. What is x going to be?
It would equal 8.
So I'm doing an arrow function here. No, it's undefined.
Oh,
Why is it undefined?
let X equal.
This
So
function.
you would have to put times 2 in the console log? Or no?
It's console.log. Still undefined. It's logging 8, but x is still undefined. So yeah, console.log is not really helping us. It's showing us that our function's working, but x is still undefined. I want x to be 8. I need to return this. That's what the return keyword's doing.
So what's the difference between the console.log and the return key?
Yeah, it's like asking, like, what's the difference between plus, like console.log is just a function. It's just a function that logs something to the console. Console.log. Yeah, SDF.
Is it like return is like you're doing a problem, like a math problem by yourself and only you're looking at it and you say, oh, I returned all of this stuff. And then console.log is you're showing it to someone else.
No, I still don't get console, like I could do like 1 + 1 here. Like there's nothing special about console.log is just logging to the console. It really has nothing to do with functions other than it is itself a function. But so if you ever want to see anything in the console, you can do a console.log. The return keyword is very specific to your function definition.
So is the return key just telling you to complete the function and to give the answer back?
It's just giving the answer back.
It's what, I mean, it's what it sounds like, and it's what the function is returning. So times 2, if I pass it 4, it's going to times num, it's going to times that 4 by 2 and return it. So it's going to return 8. And kind of returning, now this value is now 8. If I don't have that return and I run this function, well, it's going to return undefined. if I return, yo here, what is X going to be?
If you return yo, would it be yo and 4?
Where are you getting the 4 from in this return?
Oh no, so it just return yo.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so what this function's doing is I'm passing it 4, which now becomes the num. I'm doing absolutely nothing with that num. That's why it's kind of grayed out. I could console.log num. I could say, num let x equal num plus 5. Do that a million times. I'm declaring x a whole bunch of times. Doesn't like that. I can do whatever here, but this function is still just going to return yo. So going back to the map function, times 2. So let's do this num times 2. These are like, so this inner function right here, this d arrow brackets return d times 2, and this function times 2 num return num times 2. These are the exact same function. One just has a name. This one does not have a name, and this one's an arrow function. But they do the same thing. They
Times by 2.
They take a thing and they times it by 2.
So now anytime you were to type num's map, it would times whatever you're taking from it by 2.
Yeah, so it takes that. So it takes 2, it times it by 2, that's 4. So there's my 4, it pushes that 4 into the new array. Goes through 3, runs this function, 3 times 2 is 6, returns that value, so that return value goes into my new array, and so forth and so forth.
Now, when you had that function times 2, what is that times 2? That's just the name of the function?
The function times 2?
So yeah, on the bottom one. So when it says times 2, what is that times 2 there for?
Yeah,
what is that, the name of it?
That's the name.
Okay. And then the num
what is this? What is this value right here?
So it would be,
What equal?
Would it be the whole letters and then duplicated times 2, or is it just gonna, I'm not sure.
This is just 4. That's my name of my function. I can call.
Oh yeah,
That's 4.
that makes sense.
All right. Let's go ahead. It's 11:25. I'm going to get back to React, but yeah, just if this stuff is a little confusing, really start to break it down. Really go until you understand map, and then, really review, functions if that's a little confusing, which, this is, and we're going to, like, as we're going through next week, as we're going through React, we're definitely going to see these examples come up again. I'm not expecting, this to be crystal clear right now. But the nice thing with React is it is just a lot of JavaScript. So we're going to get a lot of practice working with these kind of things. And then, for instance, little brain teasers like this will pop up in your homework, or in your code, where it's like, if we go back to where we are, like right here, I wanted to write a function to get the alphabet. And now I can kind of just think, hey, I don't have to worry about my React app. I don't need to worry about, map or function. All I need to worry about is this one function, and trying to solve that. So did anyone kind of figure this out or do it?
Yeah, I got it.
I came back and I was just listening to your explanation to Randy about functions. So
I got it, James.
Sweet. Do you want to share your screen and maybe go over your solution?
Yeah.
Maybe
Let's see, I've got a million things open, so I just got to figure out which one it is. Here we go. Okay, so I just did this get alphabet function, and I want to give it 2 parameters so somebody can put what letter they want it to start at, basically, and what letter they want it to end at. Then inside of that, I created an array that's just empty. And I set, I made another variable that basically sets whatever you put in, whatever you pass the first parameter as to be the character code at 0, and then the next one's at 0 as well. But then when you get down to the for loop, it will start basically from whatever the char code at I is. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so you console that. Let's see that run.
Here's the array. So then when I console.log it.
Oh, question. On line 4,
Mhm.
I understand how you want the A to start at 0. Why do you want the end Z to end at 0?
They're just empty. And basically what I'm doing is I'm using the for loop to be like, okay, the start's going to be at whatever I is, and it's going to go to the end. It's going to go from less than or equal to the end. Does that make sense?
So, so when it ends, you would want it to end at 0, so it stops, so it's not an infinite loop, if I'm not mistaken.
I think what's going on is, so this is a different method, the char code at. It actually will give you what is the character code for Z. So cool, but this works. This is a, yeah, that's kind of how you want this, or one way to solve this. Let me go ahead. Will you stop sharing your screen and I can share mine? That works. Once again, remember that's like the most important thing. And that was a good strategy to come in here and realize there's a method. The char code at, was that what it was? Char code at. How do you do that? I don't think you didn't really need to pass it that 0. It looks like you could just do the char code at, and that tells you, because I was like specifically trying to find it, but that would give you that character code. Likewise, I could just do like this string from char code. Like, so here's the thing. It's like we have a little map of character codes, and A maps to what is it? 97. B maps to 98. Then we go all the way down, that's in order, and Z goes to 122. So these methods, I can do this. I can say, hey, I want to know what is the string that has the character code 122, and that's Z. Or I could say, hey, I have, Z, tell me that character code. Char code at, and that's 122. So that's how I can go back and forth between those two. So, but yeah, the takeaway and how Stephen did it was, you wanted to do a for loop where you set I not equal to 0, but you let I equal where you want to start, the index you want to start, and that's going to be 97.
You have your B has 99, just so you know.
Thank you, 98. So we're going to start at 97, because really what I want to do is I want to count from 97 to 122. So we can do that. I is less than or equal to 122, I plus plus. We'll just console.log I. Kind of do this in small steps. Node. What did I call this? Sandbox.js. I need to comment those out. There we go. So now I'm counting from 97 to 122. Well, now instead of just logging the number, I want to do this step of logging, the string from charcode at. And I'm going to log I. Now, the reason I'm logging this is just, it's a testing thing for myself. So I can see that I'm logging all of the characters. Cool. So that's a little test. Now I'm logging all the characters. Well, I don't want to log the characters. That's not really useful. What I want to do is create, like my alphabet array, and then go through each one and push them on. Push each of those characters on one at a time.
So basically, I just used a different method. I was looking, and I ended up picking the wrong one. I from that char at, I mistakenly used that I was supposed to use from char code now. So I'm sorry if I confused anybody.
No, yours is, because yours was fine too, because you kind of did this. Your kind of strategy was like you used the a dot. I forget it. Was it charcode at?
Yeah, it was, except for I made variables before the for loop, and then I probably was redundant with my for loop because I could have just declared something in there before.
Yeah, I mean, no, your way was fine. It worked. That's, like I said, I thought maybe this would maybe be a little easier to to see. Like, I just want to really count from 97 to 122. Because that's where A starts, and that's where Z is 122. So now I can just push those things onto the array, and then I can return the alphabet. Console.log alphabet, just to see that we have it. And yeah, the only reason I'm really logging this, I just want to make sure it's working. But now I can see, my get alphabet function works. And so now I could I have this in my sandbox. I'll select this out. And then I could, throw this in my helpers function. Okay. So I've kind of done that work outside, it was that in of itself might have been, a tough little brain teaser, but kind of taking it outside of React, and that, it made it simpler for me because I didn't have to worry about, all the other stuff. I was just really concerned about returning the alphabet. But now I can export this function.
Another question, why does A start at 97?
Because that's the character code of A. String.from char code. I pass it 97, that gives me A back. You're breaking up, who's ever asking a question?
So basically how your keyboard works is like isn't for your computer to recognize which key you're entering, it assigns every single key a number, right?
Yeah.
And then that number is basically logged into a list of a bunch of.
Okay, so that's referencing just a keyboard, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And
I
what
thought it was
that's gonna
referencing
what that's
the
gonna
code.
be is that's gonna be the ASCII table. So if I look here, and this is because we have to like computers have to like agree upon these things. Like what, because at the end of the day, like a character has to get, like, it's kind of crazy. Everything that happens on your computer literally has to get translated to like zeros and ones. So for like computers to understand like what an A is, it's probably going to eventually have to get converted to a number. And then for computers to work with each other, programs have to like agree on like a language or like some rules. And one of them is like this ASCII table. So if you're using like your text is ASCII, you're going to follow these values and see like lowercase a is 97. Z is 122. So that's where we're getting these character codes at. I think like, yeah, the space, what did I say the space was? 32. 32 is a space. 43 is going to be a plus sign.
Okay, I understand. I was just more so curious why they'd start A at 97, but now I see why.
Yeah, it's a little random, but that's kind of the answer. Well, that is the answer, but because that is the character code of A. Cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export this const. I'm not going to export default. I'm just going to export const get alphabet. And like I said, I could have done this in my message basic component, but I'm just want to do another example of like import and export. So maybe I don't want to do all that logic inside of here. I just want to, do it somewhere else because maybe I want to reuse that code. So what I can do is now I can do get helper, get alphabet. And can I get that imported? Nope. Why is that not importing? I'm trying to like have it magically imported, but it's not. So let's just auto import it. So I'm going to import. Now, since this is not a default import, I'm going to use the curly brackets, get alphabet. And now it did the automatic from space helpers.
So now you defined ALP has that constant that we just ran get alphabet. So now ALF always equals that A to Z alphabet that we just created, right?
Yeah. And let me this is more like a convention thing. So when we're talking about when we're talking about functions, I say, and we're kind of saying like functions should do only, one thing. Like in this render keyboard function, I'm like getting the alphabet, I'm mapping over it, and I'm doing JSX. Now, this is better because like I'm not doing the work here to get the alphabet, even though I'm doing the call. Like if I all of a sudden, because I could have just taken this code right here and pasted it right here. And that works too. But yeah, this is where like, my functions now is actually starting, like there's a lot more logic going on here. Now I'm actually doing the work inside of this to get the alphabet.
How did you get it imported again?
What?
How did you get it imported onto the page? Because I had pasted it, alpha equals get alphabet, but it's not popping up on mine.
Yeah, you need to import get alphabet from helpers. You need that line right there.
I have that, but it's still not working. It's
Well,
just blank right now.
in your helpers JS, you need to have a get alphabet function and you need to export that function. So to export to export things, I use the export keyword and then I can just, because before it was just const. So I can say export const get alphabet.
There has to be something I'm missing because I have that too.
Yeah. It's got to be in your helpers JS in your so it needs to be, I have mine in my source folder, the helpers.js. And then in the message basics, I import it.
Can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah.
All right, I'm joining the Zoom.
Recording it.
Okay, so this is my helpers.
Mhm.
Does it look okay?
Yep, that looks good.
And this is my message basics.
All right, that looks good. Okay, but now you're getting okay. So line 12. Okay, everyone look at this. I'm gonna tell, that's where the error, like the problem is line 12. What's the problem? And then also go to your console and look at your error. So it's saying line 13 cannot read properties of undefined map.
Saying that somewhere right here.
Yeah. Uncaught error cannot read properties of message basics undefined reading map. So it's telling you message basics JS 13.
So it's right here.
That's where it's failing.
I think you're missing a bracket, dude.
Yeah. Line 12, you're missing the bracket. You're not calling the function. You're setting the alpha ALP equal to get alphabet, which is just a function.
So where's the bracket missing?
Line 12. You're not, get alphabet is a function. You need to call that function.
So what I enter right here?
The parentheses. Now it looks like you have another error. So look at your error.
Line 12. Get alphabet is not a function.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, get alphabet's not a function. What should be the first thing you do when you're encountering an error? What's like the first thing you should check?
The error that it gives you and where the line is.
Yeah, that's a good, I'd say that's
Hey, Randy.
Yes.
I think what he's getting at is look at your helpers tab. No, up at the top.
Oh, no way. I forgot to save it.
yeah,
All right.
save. Definitely, yeah, when you get an error. So yeah, make sure it's saved. Try to so make sure it's saved. Try to
Do that every
find I
time.
think that this is harder when you're starting, is trying to pinpoint where once everything's saved, because you still would have got an error there. But try to find like the line where the error is originating from. And that's one of the ways you're really going to find that is by looking at your logs.
Thought that would be the error that it wasn't saved. So I guess
You're not going to get an error So there, that because that's what happens when you like, if you're making these changes, you're not saving, you can kind of get these errors that like propagate. Like you fix one error and then you just have another error to fix, and then you fix that error and then there's another error. So this is one of the reasons I really try to say, you know, and like I said, it's easier said than done, but really take these small steps, save and check your code, like get it working.
Hey, I have another quick question.
Yeah.
So I'm noticing, like when you're sharing your screen and when Randy just shared his screen, there's a bunch of different files that are open. There's app.js, there's index.js, and then you made another like messagebasics.js. Can we just go over like what should be in which file, or like what's going on with all that? Just basically what's happening in between the different files.
Cool. Yeah, so let's look at the flow of React. Really, and I'm going to really for now let's just kind of focus just on what's in the source, because that's where we're going to spend, you know, the majority of the time, because this is where we do like most of the coding. So our app starts really in the index.js. You can think of this as like one of the top level files, because this is where we actually take our app component or whatever component we want, and we actually mount it to the document. So this is where like our JavaScript meets the HTML. Now for now, we don't need to do anything with this file. We don't really touch it. It's generated for us. It's just done for us, but I just kind of want to show this is where we import our app and put it to our document. So then next we have our app.js. And for now, this is where we're kind of just going to throw, this is like our main application. This is where we can just throw everything we throw here will go on into our app. Like app here. Yo. So that's going to be like my main app component. And then here in my app component, I can like, you know, throw many components in here. I can have many message components. So this is where I'm rendering my message basic.
Okay. Yeah, like that's what basically appears on the page in app.js, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have my message basic component that is doing all this stuff. Now this component also imports this get alphabet function from a helpers.js file that we just created. And we had this file export that get alphabet function.
But you could do what you put in helpers.js. You could put that in the message basic, right?
Yeah, I could have thrown that in here.
Okay. Would that be like what you would normally do? Or would it be like more appropriate to create a bunch of different files and like link them all together?
So it's like, what's the advantage of maybe having a file like this where you might have some helper methods is now I could reuse this function, say like in my app.js. I could say like I could come in here, do a function const, you know, letters equals, you know, I could do let L equal get alphabet. I can pull that function off again. Import get alphabet. And then like I can grab the alphabet. I can now map over here, do something completely different. just gonna have these be bad names. So the answer to your question, it depends. Like, am I going to be using this function in other places? If I want to reuse this function, then yeah, I should probably like have it in a, in another spot, so I can reuse it in another file. So I can use this get alphabet function in my app. I can use the get alphabet function in my message basic. But I'm having all the code of getting the alphabet, right here.
Okay. So you basically just kind of, whenever you make a function, you're just like creating a little like storage space for all of them on a file.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I named this helpers. It's like this, maybe this would be a place I could throw helper functions that I want to use throughout my app. But I mainly just did that there. The reason I did that there was just to demo. Here's how you can export a function in one file and import it in another file.
Okay.
I would say for your homework, it probably would have just been like normally, like I'm not going to reuse that function. I'm just going to define it in my here. And that would also
Thank you for that.
Cool. Sweet. So let's do this. Let's just build out. So there's the message component. I think one of the nice things with React and with coding is it is confusing, but we can get into like some repetition stuff. And I think that's where, if we just kind of do things over and over again, things can start to click. And yeah, I think that the first week is pretty hard because I kind of just have to like bombard you with information. But then we can kind of start to see some of these things in week one that we learn. We're just going to be using them. Like all of this stuff we're talking about this week, it's not going away. We're just going to use it every day. So let's just repeat an example of like creating a component. Let's do a flashcard component. And what I really want a flashcard to be is just, something that has like a front and a backside, has like a question and an answer. So I can do like a little quiz where, I can have like a question and then I can click a button and it will show me the answer. So let's do that. Let's do a flashcard. So I'm going to make a component. I'm going to call it flashcard.js. And just to, like I said, kind of the way we want to start this is just get it working. So const flashcard. Here is my function. It is just a function that is going to return some JSX. Now I'm just going to have this be very simple and just have it say flashcard. Export default flashcard. Come to my app basic or my app.js and just import that. You can use that auto import if it shows up. If not, I'm just going to import flashcard from. Remember, like if you're manually typing this, use VS Code to kind of help you find that file. There we go. Now that's rendering to my to my React app. Let's do this as well, because something I'm also seeing is like this is kind of getting a little hard to read, like which component is which. You know, what I want to do is I want to maybe create a container for my components. And what I mean, and you don't have to copy this because I'm going to delete it, but what I want to do is like come in here and like maybe add border. Like I want to wrap all of my components with a div that, you know, might have a border and some margin. And some padding. So I want to do that there. And I'm going to want to do this here. I'm going to get rid of this, so don't worry if you have that now. I just kind of want to create this this kind of thing. So what, you know, I could do this with maybe CSS and like just create a class and, you know, store those properties there. But I might want to add some functionality to these containers. Maybe I want to be able to like toggle if these are visible or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a React component whose purpose really is to wrap these demos. It's just going to be like a container, like a demo container component. So let's do that really quick. So I'm going to create a new file called demo container.js. And so we can do const demo container. Once again, this is just my function. I'm going to return. What I really want to return is what I had in there with that styling. So I think for this, I kind of did some inline styling right here. I think for now, let's just go ahead and come up with a class and do it in CSS. So I'm going to get rid of that. So my app.js is the way it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a class name of demo-container. And for right now, I'll just say like h1 demo container. Export default demo container. And then in my app.js, I can render that demo container for now. So in my demo container, I have the flashcard and the message basic. I'll select this out too. So my app as is. Now I gave this demo container a class name demo container. So now I can actually go into really any of these CSS files and style them. So I'm just going to, because something to note about CSS in React, even though there's these different files, like there's an index.css, there's a app.css, all of these styles are going to be applied globally anyway. So let's just take what's in my index.css. I'm just going to delete that. Or if I can leave it, we'll just leave that body margin there. And now I can do my demo-container. And this is a class, so I'm going to start with a dot. And then I can just write CSS. So I can do my border. 1 pixel solid black. I want to just do some margin. I'm not going to spend too much time. This isn't about making it pretty. It's just making it about kind of so I can see this. So I'm just going to do margin 10 pixels and padding 10 pixels. Cool. I could actually spot shadow examples. I kind of like this site. I'll throw it out. If you want to do something a little more that looks a little nicer, if you like box shadows, you can come in here, just pick one that you like. You just copy, you just select it, and it'll like copy the CSS. You can just throw it right in there. Let's maybe do one that's a little more dramatic. Cool. So now I have this demo container that has like a little bit of margin and some box shadow. But I don't want this to say demo container. What I really want to have happen, and this is something we haven't learned about, so this is going to be new, is really, I want this demo container to like wrap, just kind of like we're doing with this div, how I have this, all of this HTML inside of this div. I really want my flashcard to be inside of this demo container. And likewise, I want my message basic to be inside of there. But now if I do that, I don't see my message basic or my flashcard. I just see the demo container. So if you want to nest a component, like one of your components in one of your other components, in this container component, what I need to do is I need to access this child via props. So what I do is I give this function the parameter props. Once again, I could call this anything, but what it is it's props. I'm actually going to get rid of this demo container because I don't want that there. What I want to grab is the props.children. So this is a React thing. So now what props.children is saying, it's saying, hey, render what was ever given to me when this rendered. So flashcard is now the props.children. In this case, message basic is now the props.children. So I will select these two examples out. Because you'll definitely find yourself needing to do something like this. Copy over where you want to, have a container component that's wrapping other components. Questions on that? So let's, I'm just gonna do right here. So I'm back at my flashcard. I'm gonna do this flashcard stuff here. Save that. Is that not saying that? Refresh. So I'm making a change. I'm expecting to see a change there and I'm not seeing it. So what I could do is check my error. I'm getting a warning. This may happen if getting a couple warnings. What is going on here? So I'm going to restart my server. I don't know if anyone else. Okay, this is because I'm making changes to my code and it's not showing up in my app. Let's see. So I'm
Real quick while that loads, when I try to wrap my demo container around like flashcard, the second demo container is it's got like a red squiggly under it, and then I'm getting errors.
So yeah, how to do this? So I have a demo container. Now it's kind of like you write HTML, like was that less than greater than the demo container? So that's the like the opening element, and then I throw whatever I want inside of there, and then I have the
Okay.
like the
I left that
backslash.
slash in there.
Yeah. So it's yeah, it's exactly how you kind of see it with HTML.
Okay, that makes sense.
I like. So something I'm seeing right here is like my computer, like it's just like my browser is spinning, meaning it's still like trying to load. I'm just going to try opening this in a new tab. Yeah, that I'm not sure what's going on there. Sometimes, you know, this is pretty rare, but sometimes like your React does, like it just kind of gets hung up. So I actually just, maybe there was a bug going on or like it got stuck somewhere. So I just restart my server and I actually had to open it in another tab to get those changes here. But I knew something was wrong when I was like making changes and it wasn't changing my code. Something I want to do with this demo container, because I think with these demos, I'm kind of going to be expecting all of my demos to have like a header. Like they're all going to have like this H1 header. So what I could do is I could actually, I'm going to remove the headers from my flashcard and from my message basic board. So now they don't have headers. But what I am going to do, because I still want them to have headers, but instead of giving them headers here, I'm just going to pass these as props to my demo container. Let's call this header. And then I'm going to give this demo container a header of message. I still don't see the headers because here I'm just, I'm passing the demo container a header prop that's called flashcard. This one I'm passing it a header prop called message. Cool. So to get that prop, now I actually can pull it from here. H1 props dot header. This is nice because now, when I come in and I create another demo like a demo thing, this doesn't have to be an actual component. I can just to do. I now start to what I'm doing here is by creating this demo container component, I'm reusing it. And I'm kind of keeping the pieces that are going to be the same. I'm keeping that in the demo container component. And what this is going to do, it does a couple things. It kind of creates this consistency between my components. They all have a header and they all have the same box shadow. That's a little obnoxious, but whatever, it looks okay. But they're all, and then they all render the props.children. So I'm creating this component that's very reusable. This is nice because let's say I want to make these, I want to be able to toggle these cards. Show the content or not show the content. So let me show you what I mean by that. So for that, what should that, I want to be able to show or hide something. What should pop into your mind if I want to change something or I want to have, I don't want to say the word because then it'll give away the answer. But this thing is going to change. I'm expecting the behavior of this component to change. What's the word that should pop into your head?
Alter.
What?
Alter.
Alter. No, it's more like a React word. It's going to have, starts with an S.
Switch. Swap.
It's a React word. Anyone? I like your guesses though. It's going to have state. It's going to have this state of, should I show the content or not? State. So think of props as when I use this demo container, I'm giving it a header prop. I don't really expect that to change. It's just kind of, I'm giving it that value. Here you go. Here's your header. It's flashcard. Here's your header. It's message. Here's your header. It's to do. But now each of these containers are going to have this toggle state where they show, where they either show or they don't show. So let's do that. So I'm going to have some state. And I'm going to have a way to set that state. And I'm going to use the use state hook for that. Now, what is this state? this is really going to determine whether or not I show the content of the card. So let's, instead of calling this state, let's call this show content. And then instead of calling this set state, I'm going to call this set show content state. Because my use state gives me back these two values. It gives me back the state I want and a way to set that state. So what do I want this state to be? I actually want it to be a Boolean. And by default, I want it to be true. Because by default, I want to show the content of my card. So I kind of want to do something like this. I want to do I want to do like an if statement. If show content is true, I want to, render the props.children. I can't directly like write an if statement right here. What I could do is I could write, but I could use our short circuit evaluation. So you're going to see a lot of this in React. And we talked about this on Wednesday, and I told you we were going to see this. So let's look at what's going on here. And actually for now, let's just do true. I'm just going to do true and props.children. So we don't even have to worry about the state right now. So why would I do this true and props.children? It's kind of this weird syntax. But remember with an and statement, it's kind of a little bit of a hack. If I say something is true and whatever, I need to check that second condition, right? Or that second thing. If I say something is false and JavaScript can just say, hey, I'm going to stop right here because it doesn't matter. This is false. So this is a weird kind of a hack. Notice when this is false and props.children, it's not rendering the props.children. If I switch this to true, it does, because JavaScript has to go and like evaluate the rest of this. If it's false, JavaScript sees false and it will just stop. It's like, okay, I don't need to go any further. So it's a little bit, even though this isn't like an if statement, we can see that work. Does this just at least visually seeing it, does it make sense? Or like how you would read it in code? If this is true, render the props.children. If this is false, don't. It's actually.
Wait, I have a question about that. What's the point of even writing true there if it's always going to be true if it's going to run?
Yeah. So the point of me doing this is to illustrate what's going on.
Okay.
Because what I'm going to do now, because you're right, yeah, there's no point of doing that, is I'm going to put this variable here. So now I have a variable here, show content. Well, show content is true. I can make it false. It hides it. I make it true. It shows it. So let's do this. Div. I'm going to wrap it's all in a div. I'm going to throw a button here. Because what I want this button to do is, toggle this form. We're going to throw an on click on here. We're going to set show content. Well, I want to toggle, like when this button's clicked, I just want to toggle the value. If it's true, I want it to go to false. If it's false, I want it to go to true. So I'm going to set show content to just the opposite value of whatever it currently is. And I need to wrap that in a function so it doesn't run. It only runs when it gets clicked. And now I can click toggle and it toggles that content. Let's make this button say something other than toggle. Let's look at a ternary. So remember a ternary, I can do this. I can do show content and a question mark. So if show content is true, I want this to say hide. If show content is false, I want the button to say show. So now when it's showing, I can click hide. It hides it, but it also changes this text to show. But now I've made this demo container component. You know, this demo container component, you know, it's getting a little complicated, right? It's maybe a lot of stuff going on here. But now it has some functionality. And when I use it though, to use the demo container component, it's really not that hard. Like I just, you know, say demo container, I give it a header. I then can put stuff inside of this demo container. And then it has that functionality of being able to toggle.
Can you Slack all of the changes you made so far in each tab so I can catch up?
I'll do this. I'll go ahead and
Because you're going a little quick.
yeah, sometimes if I think if I'm going a little too fast, I think sometimes it can be good just to sit back and watch maybe. If especially like if you get like into a bug, and then I can push this up to GitHub, and then during break, which we should take a break right now, you can kind of go through and look at it. So I'm going to push this right now. Origin.
That's all I've done today is just watch because you type way faster than I do. So
when we get back, we can what we'll do together is we'll do a clone together. I'll show you how to clone a repo. But yeah, let's take a break. Let's come back at 12:30. That code is up there on Slack. If there's like a specific file you want me to Slack out, I can do that. But if you kind of want all of them, I would, yeah, look at Slack. Maybe I'll Slack out this demo container. I think this was the one that we spent the most time on.
just before we head out to break, do you know what we're doing on lunch or after lunch today? Like, are we just working on this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
More homework.
Is there going to be a homework today too?
Yeah.
Are you sticking around during break, James?
Yeah, I'm here if you need any, if you have any questions.
I was just wondering if you could go back and show me back on the previous assignment how we basically made that get alphabet function. And then how did you apply that to the buttons so that it was able to generate like a bunch of buttons at once?
Okay, so yeah, I have this. So this function just gives me back the array of the alphabet.
Yeah.
So then in the message, I should not call that not message basic anymore, but here I use that function and I get the alphabet.
Okay.
So right now this ALP, that is like that's the array of strings, A, B, C, D, F, G.
Okay.
So then I take that. So here I could say, get, the alphabet A, E, to like Z. Store it, to ALP. So that's what I'm doing on this line.
Okay.
So now I'm mapping over that ALP array. And for each thing, I am returning this button.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, and the char, char is I'm returning this. I could say, yeah, like char is the current letter. I should almost call that letter. It's either A, etc.
Okay. I'm gonna stare at it for a while and just try to understand the syntax of all of it because it's.
Were you taking lunch or is this just short break?
This is just a break. So yeah, come back at 12:30.
Okay.
Then we'll take another 30 minutes.
Would you mind pushing the notes you just made, just so I can refer to it later? Thank you.
Yeah, I can commit this.
So can you show me real quick back down in the render keyboard function, what it's returning? Can you explain all that to me? The that JSX one, can you explain what that return's doing?
Yeah, okay, so
I get
could
the
just,
button, but I guess I don't get what the other values mean inside of that button.
I could just do this. I could just return the result of the map. But I just instead store it to a variable. Maybe I should leave this console.log. So you can like see it. So here's the JSX file about to return it. That's like my 26 things. Those are like the 26 buttons in an array. So really this function
Can you slide this out to me?
let me comment it out and then I'll just push it up so
Okay.
everyone can have it. So this function, gets in an array, or I should say creates a letters array creates an array of the letters. A, B, all the way to Z. And returns this array. Dot, all the way to Z. So it creates an array of letters, maps over them, and returns this array of like buttons. So that's what this is doing.
Right. The array is actually generated in the Git alphabet, right? But it's calling that. It's calling that Git alphabet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's like from Git alphabet.
I got it. Okay. It's going to take a minute to absorb it, but I think I get it. You pushing all this up to GitHub?
Yeah, I'll push it up.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a little confusing.
So how the demo containers repeat itself? Where did you actually construct the demo container?
So that's in the demo container.js.
That's how you constructed it?
Yeah, it's right
And
here.
then you created a class name called demo container. And then now whenever you go to app.js, every time you put demo container, it's going to put them inside of it.
Yeah, so I'll say this props dot children allows us to nest code or nest JSX within our component. See app.js, for example. I was going to say. So yeah, the props.children, that allows us to nest JSX within there. So I could look at the app.js. So that's what allows me to like type in other stuff within this demo container. So like this right here becomes props.children. This right here becomes props.children. That's the stuff within it. This the children of this demo container. I think. If I can find like a very basic use state.
What are we gonna be doing for the next 30 minutes?
I'm just kind of I'm gonna go over the flashcard.
Yeah, can we kind of like review it and just kind of break it down again? Because it's kind of going a little quick.
Yeah, I mean, this course is quick. So, but it is repetitive. So yeah, with the flashcard, hopefully you'll see some of the same concepts, but yeah, we'll kind of do something similar to what we did with the demo container, but we'll kind of see it in just a little different example with the flashcard.
Yeah, which I understand. It's just sometimes whenever we're trying to keep up with you and we got to type and then we got to watch you at the same time, it's kind of hard to keep up with you and then to also absorb the content that you're telling us.
Yeah, if typing, if that's kind of slowing you down and you are having a hard time, and that, you know, it's a little struggling trying to just keep up and you're just finding yourself struggling with the typing, then it might be good just to like watch and then absorb it that way, so you're not just getting stuck on like maybe you're getting errors, that kind of thing. Because, and yeah, well, I guess it's 12:30, because what you can always do, and this will be good Git practice as well. So I have something that's not saved here. It's not saved. Okay. Okay, so this is also a new, well, I briefly talked about this. I did when we were talking about Git, but let's do one more thing with Git. Okay, I'm going to push this up to master. So let's say, yeah, it's you're following along with lecture. Maybe you got behind during one of the segments, or yours is just broken and you want to like follow along after the next break, or you just want to see my working example and you don't necessarily want to like go through and try to like find which file's broken. What we can do, or what you can do, is you can always clone from my repo. So, and I'm going to throw these steps out in Slack. So what you want to do when cloning from, you know, a repository, you need to find the repo. So let me Slack out the repo, because I'm also going to do this as well. So I called this React review, right? Well, I'm going to do an rm-rf. Just double check. 1 second before I do this, because I'm going to delete it. Okay, it's there. You don't do this, because I'm going to delete this file. So React, I'm going to do an rm-rf React review. Okay, so that just like deleted all of this stuff. It's really not there. So I need to make sure I close that out of VS Code. Okay, so I've just like deleted that project, I think. Oh wait, no, I didn't, because I'm not in that directory. So they're okay. rm-rf React u. Yeah, see, now that just blew up because it doesn't exist anymore. So if I do an ls, I deleted that project. Cool. And then let me, so how you do this, and I'll throw this command out in Slack, is if you want to clone a repo, you click on this code thing, and let me throw out this. So I'm going to go to the repo. I'm going to look on the code. I want to probably do the SSH link. You could download the zip. That's another way you can do it. Just download the zip and then you have the project on your directory. But the easiest way is going to be to clone. So you take this URL and once again, so I'll start writing these steps out in Slack, like in a, I'm just going to call it a weak X level directory, i.e. where you want this project to live. You can run git clone and then the SSH link. And then a project name. So let me just show you what I'm showing in Slack. So git clone, the SSH link, and then the project name. You have the option to give it a new project name. I'm going to throw this in here. Project name is optional. If you don't give it one, it will default to the GitHub name. So I do a git clone. I go in here, I copy that SSH link. I could give it an optional folder name, but for this one, I'm fine with this name right here, React Review Spring 22. You would want to change it if you already had that name. So I can go ahead and run that. Now, if I do an ls, now I have that project. So next step would be cd into, cd, I'll just say project name, whatever you called it. cd into React Review Spring 22. So this has the remote. It actually even has, if I do a git log, it actually has all my commit history still. Since I cloned it from GitHub, it still has all that history. If you ever find yourself in something like this where you can't seem to get out of this, and you hit Control C is not working, you actually just hit Q for quit, and that will get you out of that. Cool. So there's one other step. There's kind of a new step we need to do though, if we clone a JavaScript project. So if you clone, I should say a React project, something with a package. We'll just say React for now. So if you clone a React project, which this is, I need to run yarn. Not yarn start, yarn. So I'm going to run yarn. what that is going to do, that's going to install all of the packages that this project requires. Because that it's going to like install, it's going to install that node modules folder, because we don't actually push that up to GitHub, because it's just, we don't want to push that up to GitHub. But we need to, like, once you clone something down, you do need to install those packages. So that's what yarn does. And then you run yarn start. And I'll throw that out in Slack. And there's my project. So just to like redo those steps just really quickly, and I'm just going to delete that file so I don't have it. We do a git clone with the repo. So, and I actually, I'll do this. So I actually grab the repo. So we do, you go find the repository on GitHub, you go to code and the SSH link, run a git clone, copy that. And if I want, I can give it this extra argument of a different name. And then I can cd into that project, whatever I called it. I run yarn. This is the step that takes a second because it's got to install that. And then I do a yarn start. And I can also just open this up in code. And voila, there's all my stuff. So that's really just two more commands we need to know. So it's the git clone and it's the yarn command. With those two commands, you can take this, you can now grab my React project, you can clone it and run it. Now you're not going to want to clone it from the directory of a React project, because remember it has a repo. So you want to do it at a level, like a week 1 level, like directory. So yeah, before lunch, let's just do another, like, let's go build out this flashcard. And, we'll start to see, this will be a little different than like the message basic and a little different than the demo container, but we're going to start to see some things start to repeat. So with a flashcard, I want to have like a front side and I want to have a back side. Also, I'm going to split this up. So we can see it side by side. That's running, so I'll go to localhost 3000. Front side and the back side. Now, I'm not going to want to show, I'm only going to want to show one side at a time. So it's kind of similar to the toggle we did. But instead, there's kind of two options we want to show, a front side or back side. So,
Hi, babe.
What do you think I need?
Do you have to go back to where you said like the show and hide content, and you're gonna have to change that code to just show
Good.
one set of content rather than another?
Like a true and false statement?
Yeah, I kind of, well, I don't need to go back. So my demo container, I don't really need to change that because the demo container, that's for all my like demo container cards. My flashcard is like a new component, and just to kind of,
Okay, so you're not utilizing the same function. So you want to make a new function here to show and hide the content.
yeah.
Okay,
You
I see.
import that function?
Would I import the function?
Can you? The one you used for the other ones?
So yeah, the use state function. That's the one I want to import. Because I want,
Okay, yeah.
I want to have state. So I just added you don't need this, but just to kind of show you, like, this is where I want to toggle this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to import my use state.
So going back to the same like format as the demo containers, would you just use that same thing of like the Boolean to then have like an ID for I don't know how to word this, like an ID for like the front of the card versus the back. So when you click the button, you use the ID so it knows when to switch. Or am I going too far?
Yeah, there's not an ID. I mean, because if I'm kind of not thinking about this in React, just kind of in English, I'm going to want like maybe a Boolean, like a show front Boolean. If the show front Boolean is true, I want to show the front side of the card. If
Right.
that is false, I want to show the back side. So even before we maybe grab state, maybe I write a function called render, I don't know, side or render card. I don't know quite what to call this, but const render card. And for now, like I could maybe hard code this kind of like I did the last time, like if true, return no, actually I'll just do this like front side else back side, or sorry, return back side. So I have this render card function that, if it's, eventually obviously it's kind of silly to throw in a hard coded Boolean, but if this is true, then it shows the front side. If this is false, then it shows the back side. So that's what I want. I kind of want this state of toggling. I need some state to toggle back before true and false.
Right. And so would you just use the same, like the opposite, you put the exclamation point in front of whatever it is, so it uses the opposite?
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of, I need to get this set up. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could do something similar. So I need like a const. I need some state to hold that. So I'm going to just call this show front. And, or maybe like, since this is a, like a question, this can be like a question answer. I'll say, call this show question and set show question. And that's going to be equal to use state. And by default, I think it would make sense to show like that's to show the question. By default, I want to show the question.
Right.
And yeah, like this will be question, answer.
Okay.
And then yeah, in my card, maybe I can do just a on click just on this div. Or I could do an icon, but for now let's just try. Actually, let's do it on a button so it's a little more easier to see. Let's do like a button. Maybe not looks the greatest, but let's just say toggle for now. On click. And yeah, this is another toggle, so I can just kind of do that same thing. It's a little, the names are different, but it's like the same concept. Where I'm going to, so the use state hook returns this, like the data and a way to set that data. So I'm going to use that way to set the data, and I'm actually going to take the value and just negate it because it's a Boolean. It's just what I want to do here. I want to set show question to just the opposite of what it is.
And that's what that exclamation point is doing?
Yeah, this is a not. And show
Okay.
question is a Boolean. So it's just going to, if it's true, it's going to switch it to false. If it's false, it's going to go to true. And now when I click on that, it's going back and forth between question and answer.
Because those are the two returns.
Because of what? Yeah.
Because those are the two returns.
Well, it's because, yeah, if show question is true, if this state
It's true,
is
show question. If it's false, show answer.
Yeah. So yeah, what I can do now is, like, I have this flashcard where I'm toggling it, but now it's just saying question and answer. I could come in here, what is 1 plus 1, 2. Well, this is limited, right? Because now it's only one question and one answer. How can I make this flashcard reusable? What's that next word that should be coming into your mind? Instead of hard coding this, what should I use for this?
Would it be something on how you did with the demo container? Would it be the child?
It's not quite the child. The child is when I do that child thing, that's because I want to nest something inside of my, like I want to nest JSX inside of my component. So it's not quite like, it's not the children thing.
Okay.
But what else did I do in my header though? Or in my demo container?
You gave it a class?
I didn't give it a class. I gave it a header.
I don't know how you would define that.
I gave it a
prop.
prop. I gave it this, and I can give it props. So for my demo container, I gave it a header prop because I want all of my demos to have a header. For my flashcard, what do I want my flashcard to have? What props do you think I want these to have?
The toggle between the answer and the question.
No, toggle is state. And they already have that state. They have this show question state. So that's already done.
Question and an answer.
Yeah, they need the question and the answer. And those are going to be through props. So think about like the toggling, that changes. That's the state of my flashcard. I can either be showing the front or the back. But what I can give these to make these more reusable is I can give them a question prop and a answer prop. As the flashcard component, you know, I'm gonna say, hey, developer, give me a question prop and give me an answer prop, and I'll toggle them for you. So I need and I need to come up here. Actually need to define props down my param as a param and do props question. Right here, props.
And it'd be show set wait.
Props dot answer.
Oh, answer, yeah.
So yeah, now the flashcard doesn't have any questions or answered because as like the flashcard component, I'm like, yeah, you need to give those to me and then I'll put them there for you. But we're not giving them yet because in our app.js, this is just an empty flashcard. It needs a question. Okay, it needs a question prop. And it needs a answer prop. So now this flashcard has what is 1 + 1. I can toggle it 2. And
Why
now
is there
I-
2?
What?
Why is there a toggle above that one?
Because I have a flashcard component right here. So I have a flashcard component, flashcard component, flashcard component.
Okay.
So it's for the each individual components. So if you click that top one, does all 3 of them disappear?
If I
No,
click this hide,
no, just the toggles. So they're still individual to that question. Okay,
yeah, they have, because the state
right.
lives in the flashcard.
Okay. I think I'm getting this on better now, but it's still a little confusing. I think it's just going to be over time, and I
Yeah,
have to actually do this a few times to get it.
but see, this is the way now that I've defined my flashcard, now it's pretty easy to use. I just give it a question and an answer, and then it has this functionality.
That's cool.
And like, say I want these to have like some margin. I can add margin here. Just let me mind styling. We don't have to really worry about this for now, but
What does margin exactly do to the border again?
margin gives you space
Between each other?
between the element. If I do padding, padding gives you space within. So padding gives me,
Okay,
it
opens
gives
it
me
up.
that
makes-
padding of 10 pixels from the border, like within the div, and the margin gives you 10 pixels of padding like outside.
And then the border 1 pix is the color and how big the border is.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to style, say, the middle one to be a different color for, say, you would have to do that in wherever you just was creating this, and you would have to go to the second flashcard to do the second one, and then you would do style and then change the color.
How would you, will you, I mean, we're not going to get into that, but how do you, so I have a red right here. This is in my flashcard, like it's hard coded in my flashcard. How could I change the style of these flashcards? What, I mean, and you don't have to know for certain, but
Or what you would have to give each flashcard a class element and then do it from there.
well, how do you think, I'm more asking if you wanted them to have different colors.
Would you create a separate div for each?
I could do a separate div. I mean, it really depends on how you want to do it, but you could do it as a prop. Color equals, I don't know, green. And then here I could maybe do some weird. I mean, this is gonna get a little messy, but like I could do. Was I given props.color? So let
Okay.
me do the
Depending on
ternary
how
right
long
here.
we go in different areas, it's like one should be at one now.
If I'm getting different, like, so if I get a color prop, here's just another way you can use a ternary. You'll see stuff like this. If I get a color prop, let's use it. If not, use red. So now that one's green.
Can you go back to the flashcard again, just so I can see how it looked?
Yeah, it's right here.
Or the other page where you added the prop?
Mhm. So yeah, here I give this a color prop. It's green.
Now, if you do the same to number 3, it would the third flashcard, it would make the third flashcard green if you did color green on it.
Yeah, it's just in color green. I could do like orange. Make it orange. So here, yeah, with props, like, you can, and this is where you start to see like ternary used a lot. So I could use props.color ? If that was given to me, use props.color. If not, use red.
Okay, that makes sense.
You could also, this is another way you can write it. You could write it as an or. Props.color or red.
Yeah, see, that way it looks very clean and readable.
It's a little more, it's a little more like what's going on behind the scenes. Like explaining that is a little confusing. Once again, it's like, if this is falsy, meaning it's not defined, then use red. But if it is defined, then use that.
Use color.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, the takeaway here, it's not like if you're going to want to do specific things to your component, well, you're probably going to have to pass it. Like the answer is going to be, well, it's either going to be you pass it props or you have some sort of state. So props and state are really, really like
Important.
important. Oh yeah. Very important, very fundamental to React.
So props and state is more of a React thing, not a just certain, like not exactly JavaScript. It's more when you start getting into React.
Yeah. When we're talking about props and state, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, that is
More so focused on
yeah.
React.
Like the use state thing, that is 100% React. How that works. This is a function React is giving us, doing a lot of things behind the scenes. Like for instance, when we call the method, our setter method, that like automatically renders. Like that's pretty magic that like when I hit toggle and I change the state, that it re-renders. Like set show question does not only change the state of show question, but it triggers this component to be re-rendered. Like, right, I can throw like a console.log before return. I can inspect. Like calling the set show question, like calling that function, is re-rendering this whole thing. Like that is causing that log to go again.
Wait,
So
what did you console log that for? Just to show you what?
to show you that this is not in a function, right?
Yeah.
Like why is this running when I click the toggle button? It's like whenever I click it, it runs before return.
So I don't know how to answer that, but what you are doing is just testing to see how it's working with the console log.
Yeah. Well, the answer is with the use state hook. When I change my state, it will automatically trigger a re-render. So that is definitely like React magic going on there. or not magic, it's just like React behind the scenes is doing that. So this function is doing a lot. So yeah, this use state function is giving us a lot of functionality. So cool. Yeah, I think this is a good place to stop. I'm going to push this up to GitHub. So since I've cloned from this repo, I can just do a git add. I don't need to add the remote. It's already there. No demo done. If you clone from my repo, you can add and commit, but you're not going to be able to push because you don't have that key set up. So you can clone from a repo, but you're not going to be able to push if it's not your repository, if it's not like your GitHub account.
But we could like clone it and then go and make our own repo and then assign it
Yeah.
to
So-
our own, right?
But you would need to do a git remote rm origin.
Oh, does that remove your
Yeah,
link?
I'll throw that in Slack. Git remote rm origin, yeah, to remove my remote. Remove a cloned those remote. You'll then add your own if you want to push up to GitHub. Cool. So yeah, we'll take a break. Let's come back at 2 o'clock or 2:05. So when we get back, we're going to hear from Will. He's just gonna, like I said, give a little, just like some advice he's had just from being, with DPL for like since the beginning. He's definitely seen, a whole bunch of everything. But let me ask you, how are you feeling with the homework? Like the homework from yesterday and the day before? Do you still need a lot more time with it, do you think?
From mine at least, I got my long code keyboard working. Backspace is not. I got most of the functions done on homework 1. Homework 2 is done. I haven't touched homework 3. And so I'd just be working on trying to get my backspace to work and the homework we have today.
Okay.
That's me. So I don't know where everybody else is at.
For me, that keyboard, like doing that on my own was really hard. But then when we went over it, it made a lot more sense. There's just a lot of stuff that I didn't know about, but it's definitely good to go over React a little bit more.
Cool.
And then as far as the other homeworks for me, as soon as I got, one function down for like sort or reduce or one of those, then it was a lot easier to do the other ones.
Yeah. I think that's how it can be. I really think with those functions though, like really understanding what they're doing is going to be really useful. So the sort, filter, map, really filter and map, because we're going to be using a ton. But yeah, filter too, just kind of understanding what's going on. So
Yeah,
what I'll
maybe
do,
if we could do a little bit more review around those.
Could we also have some extra time to like try to play around with some of the bonus stuff too?
yeah, because what I might do, I might just have you, because when we get back, because all the React stuff we did, I think we're actually kind of, we had I really wasn't planning to get into React till week 2. So we kind of have like gotten ahead of ourselves like one day. So I think next week it's going to give us some time to also review simple, like just basic JavaScript stuff too. So I'll probably just come up with like a a little like React homework for you to do. And then also just really, I really want this weekend. It's not so much about getting the homework done. I really want you to utilize this homework this weekend to kind of just review everything we talked about, because it was a lot. So yeah, kind of leave it at that. So now it's okay. Sorry, I need to cut it. Let's take lunch. Let's call it 2:10 since it's 1:10, and see you back in
All right.
an
Sounds
hour.
good. Thank you.
Have a good lunch.
Cool. See you.
Thank you.